my main job now is running the marketing. I'm the chief marketing officer for an enterprise software company that's going into mobile. They brought me in because the same people who are the executives who basically funded that company, run that company, also run PlayScreen. They said, we need you to come here and help us out. So most of the time now I'm spending with this enterprise software company called Tristrat. And we look at trade shows and we say, okay, how many customers are we going to generate from this trade show? How many people are going to give us their cards so we can sell them these expensive enterprise software packages that make their life better, right? We're trying to help people make them better. We're doing a mobile thing coming soon that's going to help people manage servers remotely, that type of stuff, right? We can quantify that, and even then we want to cut our expense down. I think these companies spending millions and millions of dollars on their E3 presence, it's uncertain whether they are actually achieving any results from that. And I think the prior philosophy was, if you don't show up at E3, the press is going to say bad things about you and you're going to get hurt. Do people really care? I mean, in case of EA, first of all, they just hit it out of the ballpark, right? Star Wars, taking the Battlefield engine and making a Star Wars game, that game is magnificent. We all agree. So they don't need to go to E3 to promote that game. That game is tied to one of the most valuable licenses. The new Star Wars movie, say what you will about it, it's certainly better than anything since the original Star Wars movies. And that game plays very well. So they don't need to go to E3. It's like Donald Trump doesn't need to go to this debate because I'm leading, I'm a winner. Well, EA is probably saying the same thing. I'm a winner. I don't need to go to this debate.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't care.
Going
the same thing.
Yeah, going to E3 as press and seeing it there, it's much different because you're able to set up interviews, you're able to get past the line. But then, I looked at it from the people who actually would pay like $300 or whatever to get in. I'm thinking to myself, man, you guys are waiting in line to play a demo for maybe 10 minutes max, and everything else you could easily get online. And even like with BlizzCon, more people started to say, hey, you know what? If they're giving me the in-game items just by buying the DirecTV web stream or whatever of it, that's fine. So it seems like now, regular consumer, there really isn't a reason to go to those type of conventions. Now, maybe something smaller that isn't so expensive.
There's a great show. There is a great show for consumers in the gaming business, and I can't remember it. PAX.
PAX, yeah.
PAX. That's a great show because it's all about the players and they're enjoying themselves and they're sampling cool things. It's an awesome show. E3, it was CES originally. When I was at Activision in the late 80s, early 90s, we would do CES booths, and then that sort of faded away and it became E3. And its time may be gone. EA bailing out, they can't feel good about that. But I think it's basically EA saying, we don't need this right now. We have a title that is a good franchise, and we don't need to be there. Activision may need to be there because Activision may be rolling out a new franchise and want the attention and all that. The press cares, and they go to these events and they meet the people and they want to be treated well and stuff. I go to these events. I go to E3. I went to the last one just to see what was happening. I was stunned, by the way. There's almost no mobile game presence at E3.
Yeah, it's really shrank.
There used to be some mobile game presence. And in fact, as I said, I had a booth in the summer of 2005, which is so ahead of the curve. We had a booth at E3 with the Dozens game. You can look up pictures of it. It was hilarious. It was great. We had the weigh-ins in the booth. It was hilarious. I did a press conference with no air conditioning, and I'm wearing a suit and tie, and it's 100 degrees. It was like one of the hilarious moments. Everyone's completely uncomfortable at this press conference because the air conditioning broke down. E3 is legendary, but it's a tax almost. It's like, you want to be in the video game business? This is the E3 tax. Pay here, because I don't think they make any real benefit from it. I think EA said, we don't need you. We don't need you at all. And what's going to happen is, Activision isn't stupid. Bobby's going to be sitting there saying, I want a report on my desk, a spreadsheet that shows me what we're getting from E3 in terms of benefit. How does that affect our scores? How does it affect our sales? And there's people going to come back to them saying, maybe next year we don't do E3.
Yeah, and they're going to be watching EA and their little thing that they're doing across and saying, okay, let's see if this does well. And what's going to happen is they're going to get the same amount or maybe more press, And that's going to be kind of like what's happening in the movie industry, where you have Netflix all of a sudden having direct to Netflix movies, and people in the movie industry are like, wait a minute, this could be bad if all of a sudden people decide to bypass the traditional theaters and go directly to Netflix. Same thing. What's going to happen with E3? Yeah, are people just going to say, hey, you know what, we're going to have EA Con or something?
That's right. Exactly right. Exactly what I was going to say next. Activision's going to do a day of Activision show. Why not? They could afford to do it. They could just rent a hall, have customers come by, do this is our rollout for the year. Boom, 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 boom. You know, and Netflix is a perfect analogy. Why not control that? Oh God, it's amazing. You know, I don't go to the movies that often, and I started going to movies because I'm spending time on the East Coast and no one's with me. So what I'm going to do at night? These theaters are empty. How can these movie theaters survive? I saw Hateful Eight, and there were on an evening show in weekday, and there were 3 other people in the theater watching Hateful Eight. How can these movie theaters survive? They're all going to go out of business. I mean, there's a movie theater down the road here, which is called Cinepolis, which is their thing is to be upper end. So you pay $20 a ticket, you can get drinks at your thing. They're trying to do that, but this looks desperate. You know, people now have at their homes screens that are as good as the best they could get in a movie theater. I did see the Star Wars movie in IMAX, and it was fantastic in IMAX. But you know, it still was very few people in the theater. And is E3 the same thing? I mean, does it really matter? And you called it. Activision's going to watch EA, see what happens in terms of numbers, and if it doesn't really hurt EA at all, they're just going to bail out of it.